In this Full Send podcast, Kyle Forgeard and Donald Trump discuss the success of the previous interview with Trump on the podcast, which gained 7 million views in 24 hours, and how YouTube took it down. Trump then talks about the incredible athletes in UFC and Dana White's role in its success. They also talk about the loyalty of Dana White towards Trump and the contributions Trump made to help UFC in its early days when nobody wanted to put it on television. They then discuss the current international state of affairs and America's vulnerability. Trump expresses concern about Russia and other countries using nuclear weapons and the danger it poses to the world. He observes that there are two types of red words: the nuclear word and the other one. Although nobody used the nuclear word during his presidency, it has become a common part of every speech now, which he finds troubling. Trump also expresses concern about America's vulnerability, especially after giving much of its ammunition away to Ukraine and other places. Moreover, he discusses the loss of Bagram, the 1-hour distance from where China makes its nuclear weapons, and how embarrassing it was. He feels that this incident emboldened Putin and others to engage in the Ukraine issue. Trump also highlights Taiwan's strategic importance, as they produce 90% of the world's chips, including the most intricate ones. However, America cannot do everything, and it needs to be partially reimbursed for protecting and defending other countries. Trump expressed his belief that the U.S. is no longer a democracy due to the weaponization of the justice system and the lack of a free press. He also mentioned that his show was taken down, implying that it was targeted because of his political views. Forgeard asked Trump about the divisiveness in the country, and Trump responded by sharing his views on how success can bring people together. Trump claimed that he could unify the country and cited examples of how his previous policies led to success and brought people together. Donald Trump discusses the downsides of wind and solar energy and the importance of oil and gas as a source of energy. Trump expresses his dislike for wind turbines and how they deteriorate into junkyards after a certain period of time. He also mentions that solar energy is not powerful enough to replace oil and gas. Trump further talks about the risks of relying solely on minerals from China for electric cars. The conversation shifts towards the issue of open borders and the dumping of mentally ill and prison populations in the U.S. Trump also expresses his concern about the possibility of World War III due to the destructive power of nuclear weapons. Trump believes people assume that nobody would use them due to their immense destruction. But there are leaders and countries out there who would use them if forced, and once used, the world as we know it would end. Trump expressed his belief that the term climate change is used because global warming was not working. He said that the real global warming that people should be concerned about is nuclear global warming because it could melt powerful stones like granite in seconds. He also expressed his desire for denuclearization and spoke about his conversations with Putin about Russia giving up nuclear weapons. Trump also discussed his relationship with Putin in Ukraine, stating that he convinced Putin not to go into Ukraine. However, he believed that there was zero chance of Putin withdrawing from Ukraine. Trump also criticized the Biden administration's decision to approve the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which he believes is a problem because it would make Germany vulnerable to Russia's energy supply in the case of war. He also criticized the current leadership's handling of energy, stating that during his term, they were the #1 country in the world for energy, natural gas, and oil. He argues that the United States is becoming like a third world country and does not have freedom of the press. Trump says that even former leaders are being investigated and targeted like they do in banana republics. He claims to be investigated over nothing, while Biden has broken every law and regulation in the book. Trump also discusses his relationship with Kim Jong Un, describing him as very smart and cunning, and stating that they would have had nuclear war if Obama or Clinton had become president. However, Trump was able to communicate with Kim Jong Un and prevent a war. Trump also talks about President Xi of China, saying he rules powerfully, while our guy, presumably referring to Biden, is not at the top of his game. Trump reiterates the U.S. no longer has a democracy and does not have free speech. Trump believes that free speech is being threatened, citing the example of someone being taken down simply because they like Trump. He also claims that the country has never been more unified, although he acknowledges that there will be fierce competition within his party. Regarding the 2024 election, Trump believes that it has a chance to be as big as the 2016 one, if not bigger. He thinks that their win in 2024 will be much bigger than if it was a traditional one because they will reveal how bad things were under the rivals' rule. In terms of his potential competitors within the Republican Party, Trump mentions Ron DeSantis from Florida, which he endorsed and thinks was going to lose had he not backed him. He claims that DeSantis is now losing terribly in the polls and suggests that he did not do well in handling the COVID-19 crisis or other issues like crime. Trump also thinks he has more loyal supporters from the Republican Party and doesn't see DeSantis being a potential running mate for him. Towards the end of the segment, Trump mentions his song, which went to #1 on Billboard and iTunes. The song was a version of a very important song done by the J6 prisoners who have been treated horribly. Trump did a voiceover of the song to support them when they asked for his help. The host also mentioned Trump's popularity, how he loves the Rocket Man song, and his Spotify song that hit the top of the charts. Trump mentioned that they have many things planned and that they have rallies all over the country scheduled, and invited Kyle and his team to attend. Afterwards, Kyle asked Trump to give his thoughts on various public figures, to which he gave one-word responses. When asked about aliens, Trump mentioned a website that has the most visitors in the country that talks about aliens, but stated he is not a big alien person. Finally, Kyle asked Trump about the letter he left for Biden when he left office, to which he mentioned writing a beautiful letter, but did not disclose its contents. Check out the full podcast by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for listening to this podcast summary episode of The Pod Slice.